was able to firsthand feel the impact that a podcaster can have. And I'm sure you've felt this a bit too with some of the stories you've shared, where it's like you've changed someone's life. You have changed someone's perspective with you showing up, you hosting, you asking these great questions. And so that was another sign to me of like, yes, I love this medium. I want to do something in this.
I'm delighted to be speaking with Emily Holland, co-founder of Wild Poppy Creative Consulting, a podcast consulting company that helps small business owners hone and increase their impact on the world. She loves spending time outside, rock climbing, trail running, running ultramarathons, hiking, skiing, or just watching her rescue pup, Kayda, frolic in the woods. Through her work on the Stokecast, she told stories of how top outdoor athletes, adventurers, and entrepreneurs build their lifestyles and careers while in pursuit of adventure, purpose, and stoke. And in her podcast, Nature Untold, she explored the intersection of addiction, recovery, and sobriety with the outdoor community. Emily's based in Boulder, Colorado, with her partner and pup. Emily, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me. I just want you to be next to me when I wake up and just say that all, so I just get really confident and excited.
It's so nice to be reminded of who we are, right?
Yeah, it really is. Yes.
You have woven your love of the outdoors in so many ways throughout your career. Thinking back to little Emily, maybe like 10-year-old Emily, what did you believe careers looked like at that time, and how close or far is that from what you believe today?
Oh, that's such a good question. I think the thing I thought about careers is that work is hard and it feels like it never ends. That's what I thought when I was young. I mean, my parents worked really hard, especially my mom. I mean, she was like the queen of side hustles. She was technically a stay-at-home mom for a lot of my earlier life, but she would like sell plants to people, and she created wreaths. We lived on a Christmas tree farm, so she made wreaths in the holiday season, and she did little jobs here and there like that, added income to our family, but weren't like, her full-time job. And it just looked like hard. And my dad was also self-employed at the time. And his own business also seemed hard, getting business, sales, managing clients, things like that. So I had a sense of like, working is difficult. It is difficult to work. And, but then I also, when I was maybe not so little in my teen years, my dad did transition to become an accountant for the state of New York. And my mom also went to work for the school district that I went to. So I saw them in these different phases. And so I also thought about work was that no one's path is linear. And I'm just realizing this now as I'm saying it. And that is super relevant to my life because my path is definitely not linear.
Wow. I love this story and how it just reminds me how much our childhood shapes us. And I think back then, probably the term side hustle wasn't as prevalent as it is now. But my mom also was a stay-at-home mom, but she was very entrepreneurial, whether that added income or added joy or added fulfillment to her life. And then also, went into a more traditional career when I was a little older. That really, it tells me a lot about kind of your entrepreneurship journey as well.
Yeah. And I mean, entrepreneurship is not easy. Like, I think that a lot of your listeners can probably agree with that or resonate with that. It's not easy at all, but there is a certain level of freedom and creativity that comes with it that I think I saw in them, but I also had to find for myself as well.
Yeah. You started collaborating on the Stokecast in 2018. You launched Nature Untold in 2020, and then you pivoted fully into podcast work in 2021. Thinking back on your journey in the podcast space, I'm curious, what were some of the signs along the way that got you to starting your business, Wild Poppy Creative Consulting?
Yeah. Well, the signs were plentiful and I ignored them a lot first. Well, similar to my mom and her side hustles, and to your point, like those were not called side hustles at the time. They were just little plays at making a little bit more money. I also felt like I wanted to do that. And I'm really putting a lot together in this exact moment that I'm very much like her. I had a full-time corporate job in market research. But I love the outdoors and I love doing other things too. And so for a while I was a spin studio person. Like I worked at the front desk of a spin studio. I would go there at 4:30 in the morning for a shift, and then I would go directly to my job in Boston after that. So I was always doing these side projects, whether they were money makers or passion projects, and I didn't need to do them. I mean, I was doing fine. Like everything was fine salary wise. But I really enjoyed them. And so as I got reconnected with my love of the outdoors, I started hiking a lot more. I began rock climbing. I learned how to ski, like things like that. I found that I had a lot of feelings and I wanted to share them. And I thought other people might want to hear them. So I started writing blogs in the outdoor space for different publications. And then my friend and I started the Stokecast. And that was one of the signs that, there's this great medium that we can use to share, like be so direct with our audience. And that is still to this day, like the thing I love the most about podcasts is that it's this direct line to feel like you're connected to more than just your circle or your community. It's really powerful. So that was the first sign. And then I think the obsession that I had with podcasts outside of that was also a huge sign to me. Like I would listen to them constantly. I would always be learning from, Ira Glass and Ezra and all the NPR guys. And that was really in the beginning of the really big podcast boom. And when I started my second podcast, Nature Untold, I knew it was going to be a smaller audience, but because it was such a smaller audience, I had direct contact, like through text and social media with these people and my audience members, a lot of them. And because it was such a specific show, it's like about addiction and the outdoor community, so niche, it definitely brought in a certain type of person. And I was able to firsthand feel the impact that a podcaster can have. And I'm sure you've felt this a bit too with some of the stories you've shared, where it's like, you've changed someone's life. You have changed someone's perspective with you showing up, you hosting, you asking these great questions. And so that was another sign to me of like, yes, I love this medium. I want to do something in this. And then I would say the final sign is when I left my job in corporate, I had no plan. I was going to be a writer. I have not written like anything at all since I left my job. I don't know who that girl was who thought that, but she's not me. So I had a contact reach out like the week I left my job and say, hey, do you ever help anyone with their podcasts? And I said, well, now I do. Let's do it. So I started that. And at first it was just freelancing. And then eventually with my business partner, we were collaborating on a bunch of stuff and we're like, let's just formalize this thing. And that's where Wild Poppy came from. That's a quite long-winded answer, but there was many signs along the way that this was the medium I definitely wanted to be involved in some way.
Yeah, it sounds like it was organic and you followed your passion. And you mentioned your co-founder was, you decided to formalize your business. And it's kind of like you took these few big leaps in pretty quick succession. So going freelance, leaving your full-time corporate job, going freelancing, and then making it official with your business partner, Angie. How did you gain the courage to make these leaps?
Oh, I don't know that I feel like it was courage. I think it is. A lot of people talk about this in a way in Hollywood where they first get there and they're going on all these auditions and it's like they don't know what they don't know. They don't know that rejection sucks. They don't know all these things. And so part of it is just like I'm just going to treat this as a big experiment and just see what happens. I don't know that I have like more confidence than the average person or anything like that. I think it was just, I just had what my friend calls confidence cookies come in, where it's like you get a little cookie for the cookie jar, you put it in your confidence cookie jar, and then they slowly build. So you have one client that reaches out and says, let's do something together. You might do really well for them. And then you have another, or maybe just another small opportunity, or you go on a podcast and it's really good. And you just slowly like stack these cookies. And then eventually your cookie jar is full. You got to get a bigger cookie jar and change the cookies, maybe get some Thin Mints instead. I don't know. But yeah, I think it was just a lack of like true understanding. It was like ignorance is bliss, and I can do whatever I want because I'm self-employed. So let's just test out. And still to this day, my sister is a new business owner, and she was getting kind of frustrated with the process, which can be very frustrating. And I said, well, why don't you just treat everything that you do from right now as an experiment for the next 6 months? It's just an experiment. And if it's an experiment, there's no I'm the worst, I can't do it. It's just an experiment. So if it doesn't work out, we just learn from it, keep it moving.
Let's reflect on this question. What are you currently experimenting with? Outside of hosting this podcast, I partner with leaders in the workplace to turn professional challenges into leadership successes and career progression. I love working with executive leaders, people managers, and of course, ampersands. If any of this sounds interesting to you, reach out to me at jessicawan.com. That's JESSICAWAN. Now, back to the show. Let's talk a little bit about the outdoors and running. How did you get into ultramarathons? And for listeners who aren't familiar, this is a 50K or 31.1 mile race. I had to look it up myself. So how did you get into running this long distance?
Yeah. Oh, that's a long story. But yeah, so ultramarathon is basically anything longer than a marathon. So this is what I'm training for right now is an ultramarathon for sure. But there's people who run like up to 300-mile races. So just, they all are ultras in that category.
Wow.
Yeah. And those are great. My coach, Joe Corcione, that I've gotten for this round of training is running a 300-mile race this year. And that's why I trust him.
Wow.
Anyways, so running to me when I first started doing it, I ran on roads only for basically the first 15 years, I would say, of running. Mm-hmm. And I ran from 13 to 22 without doing any races. It was really linked more to me staying small. It was about weight loss and being punitive with myself for whatever I was eating the day before or whatever I was planning to eat the day after. So unfortunately, it sort of had this negative connotation to it for a long time. And I played basketball. So running was a punishment during practices and stuff. So once I started engaging in hiking again when I was around 23 or so, I really liked that. And I liked getting faster and faster as we were hiking more. I liked, the feeling of covering more ground and seeing what we could do in a day. I really liked that whole process. But when I started trail running, I hated it because you can fall. And I don't like falling. And I don't like falling on rocks and roots, which is most of what's in New Hampshire and Maine and Vermont, which is where I was doing most of this. So I was really resistant to it at first. But in order to overcome that resistance, I decided, actually, I'm going to sign up for a trail marathon. I'm going to just push myself to do this. And what I found after having done many road races, a road marathon, many half marathons on the road, is that the trail world is a different type of experience. It is camaraderie, community. The vibes are high, as the kids say. Like, it is fun. And on a road race, you have your headphones in, everyone's doing their own thing. No one's talking to each other. It's not camaraderie there. And that's cool, but it's also just not what I was looking for anymore. So anyways, I started to trail run and I got into it for a few years, and I did my first 50K in 2019 after my trail marathon in 2018. And that was when we first moved here. And so I just had no idea how to like train at altitude in Colorado. I didn't know anything. I had a coach, but it's like, it was kind of casual. So it wasn't really like a true coaching relationship. And then I moved away from it for a few years because I wanted to focus on rock climbing for a little while, is one of the reasons. But the other reason is that because I was living in Boulder, where many elite athletes live, I was finding it hard to not compare myself to everyone on the app Strava, where everyone posts all their runs and bikes and all these things. Yeah, it seems like you're knowingly nodding, so I think you understand the vibe. There's Olympians here. Like, yeah, there's a lot of folks doing really cool stuff here. And I wasn't at a place yet where I could kind of go beyond that in my mind. I was really being kind of mean to myself about it. And I think I just needed to take a step back to come back to it when I felt like it was for me and it was for the love of the sport and not because I wanted to like look cool on Strava. Yeah. So that's when it all started. And this last year, I had a few runs that were, I'll just call them magical. I felt like, wow, I've missed this so much. And listened to a couple very inspiring running podcasts and went home and decided I would sign up for 2 races this year. And now I'm in the full training mode and absolutely loving it.
It sounds like you have really decided and committed to kind of take this to the next level. So what does it all entail? And I'm also curious how much of your coach is coaching the physical versus coaching the mental or the spiritual. What does that look like?
Yeah. So what it all entails, training for any sort of race really is like you have to be on a program. Your body, specifically with running, but with most sports, needs to adapt to more and more and more. So it's called like progressive overload, essentially. And so right now I'm running 5 to 6 times a week, different times and goals for each thing. I'm doing hills, I'm doing strides, all kinds of things that I've never done in training before. I just was like out running and hopefully that made it happen. And I'm also doing a lot more strength training this time to help mitigate any injury risk as well, to really strengthen my entire body so that it feels like the whole thing's working together and we're rocking with that. And I'm in the past I've been very injury prone, so I'm doing a lot to like work on my mobility and I'm really just enjoying committing to something so much. I just feel a lot of confidence cookies are coming from looking at the past 2 months and saying, damn, I am crushing this plan. Like all this green is showing up on my little app that I use. And that is more exciting to me right now than the actual race itself in April. So I can tell that I'm in a different place as an athlete, quote unquote, because I'm actually enjoying the process much more than I'm even thinking about the race itself. Yeah. So then the coach side of things, which if anyone's listening to this and they're interested in ultra running, Joe Corcione at Everyday Ultra is awesome. He's a great guy and very smart. He builds out my plan for me based on my goals and what he knows about me. And we meet every 2 weeks and talk about running and, nerd out on stuff. And he does help with both. There's been times in my training where the mental block is there and I'm needing to push through that in some way. And he's like a great resource to talk through that. He's done that a lot for himself. And when you're running 300-mile races, you need to really have a great mental capacity for challenge. So he's very, very helpful in that capacity. And then they do like group calls where they do like deeper trainings. And so they have all of those like once a month and all the recordings too. And a lot of those are mental training is just important as the physical aspect, like training on your long runs during your training block to have those mantras with yourself, or tell yourself to keep pushing through, or know when to back off for your body. So all of those things together are just making it a super exciting experience this time, because I feel like I'm, for the first time in a training block, really committed to all of it at the same time.
How are you seeing these gains from your fitness side work their way into the podcast consulting side?
Yeah. Yeah, I love that sports like this mirror business. I think one thing I'm thinking about is that process over outcomes thing. It's putting in the consistent work over time and allowing for those adaptations. So in the physical, obviously your body needs to adapt to a higher workload on it. But on the business side, putting in that consistent time, you're adapting to be able to basically take your business to whatever level you want. You know, you're adapting to be able to do different things, try out different ways of serving your clients, or maybe do, more podcasts or like collaborations or whatever. So the consistency over time of being out there, talking to people, showing up for our clients, I'm just seeing that as, the actual work. And then everything else will fall into place. And I've actually seen this time and time again when I have a really consistent block in my business too. So this is helping with running too. So vice versa. Mm-hmm. When I have a consistent block in my business of like, I'm not traveling for a few months, I can, really hammer out some stuff and be committed and, at my desk 5 days a week. Then I go on vacation. Every single time, if I go on vacation after something like that, someone reaches, a business opportunity comes up. So it's almost like, so I'm learning that about running too, where it's like, yeah, I've put in the work over this time, and then I'll get to the race and the quote unquote business opportunity will come up and I get to show my stuff.
Oh, I love this so much. What do you think ties together all of the endeavors that you put so much of your energy and passion into?
Yeah, I was thinking about this the other day because someone brought up the question of like, when did you feel most alive in 2024? And so I thought about that and what the moment was. And I think the thing that, I'll say a couple things that come together in here. And connection is the number one. So that's connection to self. Like I feel through owning my business, I can learn everything about myself. Owning your business is really just having a microscope to your own insecurities, strengths, weaknesses, etc. You have to constantly confront yourself, essentially. So it's an opportunity to continuously connect with yourself. And with running, you need to really be able to read your body and connect with what it needs when it needs it, whether that be for fueling or if you're overtraining or whatever. So I think those things together are really important. And then the other piece is connection with others. I mean, that is the real spice of life. And so in any of our outdoor endeavors, we go rock climbing, there's other people there. We can connect with them. Our friends that are rock climbing, we're going on rock climbing trips to do that. For trail running, like I try to go running with other people or at least say hi to people on the trail or in a trail race. There's tons of people to say hi to and they're all giving you gummy bears. Like that's pretty cool. So connection is like the core of all of it. Mm-hmm. And then I would say the other value that I feel like these two pieces really hit for me is consistent progression. I'm like a striver, I want to consistently be learning and changing and evolving, and just like that is a driving force in my life and my partner's life, something that we really agree on all the time. And so there's always more you can do for your outdoor sports. There's always more you can do for your business. And so those two pieces coming together are really incredible. And the last thing I would say is freedom. I mean, obviously owning your own business, you have to do a lot more. I'm working more now than I literally ever have. So it's, right? Like it's a lot. But the freedom to be like, I don't want to do that, or I do want to do that, and saying, hell yes to things is very nice. And then on the trail running side of things, if you want to feel like a child and be free, go on a trail run. Just go out there and just like arms open, airplane arms. It feels incredible. So there's a sense of freedom that comes with that as well.
Yeah, I love how you described it earlier as magical. What a great word. Through these interviews, we're co-creating the Ampersand Manifesto, Principles for Leading a Multi-Passionate Life. What are some principles that you live by?
Myself and my partner have a term that is sort of our guiding shared principle. So I'll share that, and that's the one I like the most. So there's a song by a band called The Highwomen, which Brandi Carlile is in, and it's called A Crowded Table.
I love Crowded Table.
So that is our modus operandi. We are trying to build, and we have this already, so it's not that we are trying to build, we're trying to deepen, I should say, our relationships and build that crowded table. We want to be the place, the safe space for our nieces and nephews because we don't have children. We want to be the safe place for our friends' kids and our friends and our family. We want that big table that we can fill with people that we love and have joyful, hard, silly, all the moments together. So that is our driving principle and basically everything that we try to accomplish, whether it be financial or otherwise. You do have to have some sort of financial security to have a huge table to fit people around. But, it's a metaphorical crowded table until we have the huge, long, live oak table that we can fit everyone around.
Oh, thank you so much, Emily. This has been so delightful talking with you today. Folks, you can follow Emily on LinkedIn at Emily L. Holland and find Wild Poppy at wildpoppycreativeco.com. And we'll link to these in the show notes. If you liked this show, share it with your friends and fellow Ampersands, and make sure to hit the follow button to be notified when new episodes drop. It would mean the world to us if you took 2 minutes to rate and review the show. Just go to the main show page on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and look for the stars. I had a chance to listen back on my interview with Emily, and I wanted to share a few key takeaways. 1. I was not at all surprised when Emily mentioned that at one point she worked in a spin studio starting at 4:30 a.m., and then she'd go into her corporate job. Through doing these interviews, I've noticed a lot of Ampersands have had previous iterations. It reminds me of a conversation I had last season with Dominic Lim about how it's okay and even encouraged for Ampersands to change and evolve over time. 2. One theme that came up around both her business and running was putting in the consistent time and adapting to the next level. Sometimes we can get tricked into thinking that the outcome is the work itself, but it's just not true. There's so much work behind the scenes to make the outcome happen. I liked when she said, if you commit to consistency, the other things will fall into place. 3. I resonate deeply with Emily and her family's driving life principle. Ours is very similar. And in fact, I even sang the song Crowded Table at a women's leadership conference last year. To have people we're connected with in a place where we all belong, sharing our stories and talents, that doesn't just have to be a dream. It's a reality that we are working to create. And you can too.